Hi, welcome back to the Scent Advocate. Tonight, we're taking a journey through the world of apricot fragrances. They're not necessarily all feminine. They are almost entirely gender neutral. They are a journey from the most linear of apricot fragrances in my collection, clear through to the most artistic, and finishing off with a finale that's only fitting. So stick around until the end. My beverages this evening are coffee and water. I'm feeling a little parched today. Okay, stop mid-sentence there. I've been drinking a lot of sparkling water, Italian sparkling water, which tends to have a fair amount of salt in it, which is wonderful, except it makes me even more thirsty. So that's why I'm feeling parched. Here we go. Let's jump into this. The first apricot fragrance. Oh, one more thing. See if you notice a theme as we're going through this. It'll eventually become obvious, but a theme that I found to be somewhat surprising. All right, so the first fragrance is from L'Occitane. It is Osmanthus Apricot. This is an eau de toilette. It's a 2025 release. It goes for $85, and this is 50 ml. This is a very recent acquisition. The nose behind this is Mary Pierre Julienne, and the notes are pretty straightforward. They are apricot, osmanthus, and cedar. As apricot fragrances go, this is, I'm not going to say simple, it's direct. I say that because the feeling. So apricot for me is about a feeling. It's not about a fruit, or, you know, if it's a fruity floral or anything like that. It's not that. It's one of the few notes that actually takes me somewhere. And those places are always positive, happy, bright, something I've been looking forward to. And this fragrance is no different. So this has a slightly underripe apricot, a little bit of a green, not too soft. And that green, almost almost a lime note in there. It also comes across in the initial spray as a little bit alcohol forward, which translates to me like an 80s hairspray, just a little bit. And I can't put my finger on what it is. It's not the apple one I've talked about before, although that was amazing. Or maybe it was a shampoo. It was a hair product. And then it goes away. It's just the initial part of the opening. Very nostalgic, kind of 80s, overly perfumed hair care product of some kind. And then it goes away and it becomes a more fragrant, beautifully ripened apricot. Is it apricot or apricot? I think I say both. So I may do both throughout the video. I never know what it is I say, but when it comes to apricot, this is soft, and also like apricot, it's got a feel to it. Apricot is so much more than a fruit for me. Like I said, it's a feeling, it's a place in my heart or in my mind, and it's also very tactile. the skin soft, buttery soft, and yet fuzzy, but not too fuzzy, like the skin of a baby. Just so amazingly wonderful to touch. Just, I mean, I would be happy to just hold apricots and smell them and touch them. You know what else gives me that? You guys are gonna think I'm nuts, but it's true. Have you ever held one of those hairless cats? You know, like Mr. Bigglesworth from that movie, Austin Powers? Well, one time I was at a pet store when we were still in Utah, and we were getting like the dogs some food or something, and you could bring your pets. So this woman we ran into had a hairless cat, you know, a Sphynx cat. And it was a little bit scary looking, but I just had to touch it. And I remember thinking, this feels like an apricot, not a peach, but an apricot, because I think the fuzz on a peach can be a little rougher than on an apricot. On an apricot, it's just ever so slight. In fact, I don't even know if there's fuzz on it. It just feels almost powdery. And except that the cat was warm, this wonderful woman let me hold the cat, and it was just amazing. I just wanted one instantly. Just hold it. It was like holding a baby. And except for the fact that the cat was warm, it was like a big apricot, holding a big apricot. Very, very pleasing to hold and cuddly. And that's how apricots are to me. That's where apricots take me. And this is definitely a linear apricot experience with some complexity, right? I should say it's the most linear of tonight's lineup, but it takes you down that road of, you know, the mind journey, the pleasantness, the brightness of the fragrance, the texture of the fruit, and the comparison to touching and holding something wonderful, like a hairless cat or a baby. Apricot, Osmanthus apricot by L'Occitane. All right, moving on. Okay, next we've got, in the apricot journey, Osmanthus. Didn't see that one coming, did ya? By Molinard, one of my favorite houses. I love this very old, sophisticated French fragrance house. This is 75 mil. It's an EDP. It's a 2021 release, and it goes for $122. I think a fantastic deal for a fragrance of this quality. The notes in this: bergamot, let's see, mandarin, jasmine, osmanthus, tuberose, apricot, of course, iris, white musk, and pink bay. So this is very bright, fruity, like a peach meets a sumo orange. There's definitely apricot there, that feel, that just heartbreakingly wonderful, joyful feel that comes from the apricot note in a fragrance is absolutely there. But there's a leathery powder experience going on at the same time. And you wouldn't necessarily know it from the notes. And that's what I also love about apricot fragrances. You just don't, even if the apricot is not a listed note, you can absolutely get an unmistakable apricot, I guess a chord, a combination of notes that give rise to another fragrance entirely. And there's one that I'll get to about halfway through that is exactly that. It is an apricot bomb, and yet apricots are not listed among the notes. So this one I often equate to the last day of school. It makes me think of that. Again, just a wonderful, bright, happy, positive, something fantastic is happening experience. But this one, I think because the Osmanthus is more prominent, really gives it a comforting feel. And what's more comforting than knowing you don't have school tomorrow or the rest of the summer? I guess holding a hairless cat is more comforting. All right, moving on. We've got Joyeux Osmanthe by Maison Rebatchi. Love this one. This is Maurice Roussel, and this is a 100 ml EDP. It's a 2018 release, and it goes for $195. This is apricot, nectarine, green leaves, neroli, cinnamon, osmanthus, tuberose, orange blossom, etc. There's iris. Just again, it's got that thing. It's got that apricot. But in this one, the iris, if I didn't know better, I'd say it was orris, but it's also got osmanthus in it. So those kind of bring that heavy, powdery feel to it. I think that combined with perhaps the cinnamon giving it warmth that kind of equates to a weight in the expression of the powder. Because if I didn't know better, I'd say orris butter, because it's a heavier texture but still powdery. You know how orris butter can do that? That's what I'm getting in this. Oh, fantastic. Very apricot. Very apricot. Are you noticing a theme yet? I'm not telling you what it is, but if you know, put it in the comments. There's definitely a theme going on here. The honeysuckle is there, adding to the brightness of the apricot, just kind of bolstering it. I think a lot of times we think of apricot with honey or an apricot jam, just that syrupy sweetness. Really making it slightly heavier, but still very sweet and elevated, lifted, bright. Absolutely what's going on in here. This has more of a heavy texture. This is not something I'd want to sweat in necessarily. I think if among the three that I had to pick something to sweat in, it would be this rather than these two. By the way, these are all unisex, but I would say slightly feminine leaning, but not heavily so. All right, moving on. We've got a little bit more complex. We've got Oliver by Strangers Parfumerie. Yeah, this expression of apricot is quite different. So this is a Prin L'Homme Rose fragrance. It's a green chypre, and it's a 30 ml. It's an EDP, and it goes for $90. It came out in 2018. Very strong citrus going on with that apricot. I'll give you the notes very quickly. So mandarin, mojito, apricot, cypress, sea salt, quince, ambergris grass, clean shirt, orris, vetiver, bergamot, tobacco, ambrette, grape leaves, moss, fig, and magnolia. Oh God, just all of it. All of it. It's just hard to say. Obviously, it's apricot forward. The mojito is there. I think there's a petitgrain in here for me. Yeah. And maybe it's just something I'm picking up on from the grass. It doesn't say oak moss is in here, but I get I get an oak moss. And maybe a very minty basil. And I think that's where, you know, the mojito comes in. The cotton, that fresh, clean cotton, it's not soapy. It's just, I guess it's kind of like when I bleach my whites and they come out just smelling more clean than ever. And I just equate that with the smell of really clean white linens or clothing. That going on and just adding a clean brightness to the whole fragrance as opposed to green alone. It's very freeing, liberating, uplifting, summer, you know, wonderful experience running around. Maybe you're playing frisbee or, you know, catch or something, you know, some kind of outdoor picnic type thing where you're just, you know, kind of goofing around, having a good time, you know, with music playing in the background and just having a blast. That's what this does for me. The citrus is the mandarin, but it's not too zippy or acidic, and it just marries into that really beautiful, precious, that's how I feel about apricots, the precious kind of apricot feeling. Gorgeous stuff. Oliver by Strangers Parfumerie. Next, let's go a little bit more complex. It's, where's the front of this bottle? Ylop by Sora. I am such a huge fan of this fragrance. I hardly know where to start. This is Amélie Bourgeois. Is the nose behind this. It's a 2024 release. This is an extrait. It's 50 ml and it goes for $220. But I'll tell you, you don't need much. Yeah, you know, again, there is this unmistakable presence of apricot in all of these, and just, you know, expressed in so many different ways, so many different themes among the fragrances. It's just wonderful. So this is apricot, tea, apple, almond, osmanthus, rosemary, sesame, vanilla, and vetiver. The sesame is there. I thought it would make this warmer, because for me, that's what sesame does to a fragrance. I am a huge sesame fan, whether it's a tahini, you know, sesame seeds toasted, sesame seeds raw. I love them all. But I think this gives it a little bit of, it's not sesame. There's a candy like a sesame toffee. If you've ever had it, it's so wonderful. They're about yay long, maybe that wide, maybe about, you know, the size of like my finger from there to there. And they're not too sweet, but they're just a wonderful little treat now and again. And that smell, that kind of toasted sesame, and the sesame is toasted by the caramelized sugar. I'm not a big sweets person, but this, I think the sesame really tempers the sweetness of this candy. So once in a while, it's really nice to have. The rosemary does too. I think it just adds a woody green, almost balsamic feel to it. But still at the same time, that green is bright. If the apple in here is prominent at all, it's hard for me to detect. It's a Granny Smith apple. There's a tartness. The tea adds a little bit of drama and seriousness to it. The Osmanthus keeps it a little bit serene, and so does the almond. But the apricot, it's bright, youthful, completely optimistic. Oh, it's just, it smells like the soft pink peach color that it is, you know. It's makes me think of when I was a kid going to a store called Toys R Us. and they didn't have them where I lived, but when I used to go to visit my grandparents in Brooklyn, they would always take us during the summer. And just knowing that, you know, tonight after dinner we're going to Toys R Us, it was just, oh my gosh, you know, this is the best thing ever. I mean, what could be better? And I just, you know, would look forward to it. And my little brother was looking forward to it. And it was just, you know, the gift of summer. And, you know, when you're young like that, toys, at least back then, they weren't outrageously expensive. And so my grandparents would buy us a bunch of stuff. And it just felt like Christmas in June. It was amazing. And this makes me think of that. I'm not entirely sure why. We did eat apricots in the summer, so maybe, I don't know, it was something we ate for dessert, apricot for dessert or something, maybe before we went to the Toys R Us, and that's why it sticks in my mind. But they also used to have these dolls that I loved. Their hair smelled like different types of fruit. That could be it too. Gorgeous stuff. Ylop by Dora. All right, moving on. This is the one that I said doesn't have an apricot note in it, but it's an apricot in your face. This is MDCI's La Belle Hélène. This is a fruity chypre. I love it. It's just so uplifting. Wow. Apricot really makes me happy. How about you guys? Do you love it? I mean, do you get as much of a charge out of it as I'm getting? So this is a 75 ml. It goes for $250. It's an EDP and it's a 2011 release. The nose behind it is Bertrand Duchefort. And this is pear, tangerine, lime aldehydes, Osmanthus, iris, mirabelle, ylang ylang, hawthorn, rose, oak moss, sandalwood, licorice, musk, myrrh, vetiver, amber, cedar, and patchouli. Conspicuously missing is the apricot. But there is no doubt for me, this is a big, sweet, honeyed, just not too cold, just cool, perfect, not overly ripe apricot. Oh, and it's sophisticated too. That oak moss adds a level of class to it. It's a classy apricot. It's a sophisticated apricot. What can I say? You know, the aldehydes giving it a lift, you know, another level of brightness. The ylang ylang, the, you know, beautiful yellow, waxy floral just adds to the experience. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. The licorice, if you're not a fan, don't worry. It's really muted in here. It's very hard to detect. You know, one of the things that I love about MDCI fragrances is how it just gives you a feeling more than a set of notes, and that's exactly what's going on here. This is complete and total joy in a bottle. And if you are at all a fan of a honeyed apricot with the sophistication, I guess is the only word I can think of, that oak moss, that earthy oak moss brings to it, that hint of a classic level of sophistication, this is definitely worth trying. This is one of the best fragrances in my collection by far. Absolutely beautiful, La Belle Hélène by MDCI. Next is my most artistic offering for the evening. This is from Vincent of Dreamhouse at Akerio. It's Magie Sexuelle. This is a 2017 release. This is a 70 ml, but I'm not sure the house is still offering 70 ml. It may have become, I want to say, a 60 or 65 mil. Check the website for a curio to be sure. This goes for $150. This is an EDP, as I said. The nose behind this is the brilliant Vincent of Dreamhouse. The notes in this are amber, whiskey, cashmeran, agarwood, oud, apricot, of course, olibanum, raspberry, jasmine, benzoin, vanilla, and tonka. You see where this is going. A dark, boozy, resinous apricot. Let's see. Yeah, you know what I really get out of this, and Vincent, if you're watching, apologies, but I just gotta say it. I get so much out of these fragrances. There's always something. Every time I smell them, this one in particular, I pick up something new. And the cinnamon in here for me is just fabulous. And it's not listed among the notes, but this isn't your regular commercial cinnamon. It's real cinnamon. And the warmth from the cashmere, feeling the cashmere and the warmth of the whiskey, the resins, the vanilla, tonka, benzoin, you know, those heavy resins. Oh, just really, really, really offset that beautiful but present raspberry, and the raspberry amplifies the apricot in this. My grandmother used to have a liqueur, like a cordial, and I remember it was in a big bottle. And I think I've said, you know, before in videos that I'm Sicilian on both sides of my family, going all the way back. And so I think this might have been a Sicilian thing. I remember seeing this thinking, are there eggs in that bottle of booze? I don't ever remember them drinking it. I think it was more decorative than anything. My family, they're not big drinkers, but turns out they were apricots in there. And it was some kind of, you know, hard liquor / cordial with apricots in it. And it was just beautiful. And I remember it always being there. And I was always hoping that they would open it up and let me get a whiff, see what it smelled like, especially after I realized they were not eggs. They were actually apricots. This is fantastic, very comforting, very artistic, very deep. There's a lot going on here, and it's something you want to sit with and contemplate and experience, see where it takes you. And like I said, every time I put it on, it's a new journey. This is something I'd wear for a special evening out or to bed. It's that comforting. And as I always say, I love the artwork on the bottles as well as the wax seal. I love it. This is Magie's Sexuelle by Keiko. All right, the last in tonight's lineup, saving dessert for last. So here we go. This is a Gâteau de Carnaval by Keiko Perfumes. So this is 50 ml. This goes for $95. It's an EDP. This is funnel cake, vanilla, milk, brown sugar, and apricot. So very much a gourmand. So if you do not like gourmands, this may not be for you, but this is a nice one. They're all pretty great, of course. To me, I like gourmands, but this one's nice. It's not sickly sweet. It's got, you know, the funnel cake, that fried dough thing going on. So kind of like a bready, doughy, carbohydrate richness. The apricot, yeah. So for me, this doesn't feel like a funnel cake. This feels like a sophisticated apricot dessert. Um, I'm thinking oh gosh, maybe like a type of croissant with, apricot filling of some kind, like a pain au chocolat, but instead of chocolate, there's apricot jam in there, like that, and warm. Mmm. Very comforting, very beautiful. It's an elegant gourmand, an elegant expression of a delicious apricot, the apricot being expressed in a completely different way. Um, Fun like a carnival, sophisticated like an expensive dessert at an expensive restaurant, at an expensive resort where you're feeling very just happy to be alive and pleasant, which is exactly what apricot makes me feel. So, what do you think of tonight's lineup, particularly the journey from the more linear to, the more complex and artistic expressions of apricot? Let me know in the comments. And if I left any great apricots out, please let me know in the comments. If you're not yet a subscriber, please consider subscribing. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. This is meant to be something of an outro. The theme is apricot meets osmanthus. I noticed in many of these fragrances where there was one, there was the other. Why? Well, I think it has to do with texture. I think that the skin of the apricot being very, very soft and like the skin of a baby, the kind of almost powdery softness of that type of surface is reminiscent of the feeling you get from smelling osmanthus. It's one of those florals where there's a texture to it, much like apricot having a texture to the skin. I think osmanthus as a note has a texture to it, and it's that very soft, almost powdery feel. And I think that one embellishes the other, and that may be why we see them together so frequently. I also noticed a bit of iris as well, but not as much. I think iris is even more powdery, whereas osmanthus is floral, soft, going in the direction of powdery, but more like the skin of an apricot. And I think it just, together they're fantastic. So that's why I believe in maybe half of the fragrances I talked about in my apricot journey video where there was apricot, there was osmanthus. Let me know in the comments what you think. Did you notice? See you in the next one. Bye.